Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Serge.
My name is James. I'm going to try not to laugh.
Why are you going to try not to laugh?
You know, like when you're really nervous about something, you get like the giggles and shit.
Well, listen, you have not been putting the boot into me all season because it's not nice to kick somebody when they're down. I definitely won't be putting the boot in this episode, even though I know that there's plenty of people that want to come to the show to watch that kind of banter and abusive stuff. Yeah, but to be honest with you,
Don't
James,
worry, I'm going to put the boat in myself.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? Exactly. It's like I know you can. There is no way that I can say talk as much shit about your team as you will be able to yourself. When we did this pod, honest to God, James, when we started this pod, the only thing I could have guaranteed to you is that I would have quite a lot of red arrows over the course of the season. And I have had quite a lot of red arrows across the course of the season. So I have delivered on what I said would happen, James. Not this week, though. So far, I'm sitting on a green. It's the weekend after the Planet FPL Derby, which had the least, I would say, animosity and intensity, because regardless of what happened, whether you beat us or not, like my own problems are worse than the problems that you could cause me by beating us. Do you know what I mean? It's like we got whether we beat you or lose, we got other problems. And the same for you, right? Whether we beat you or lose, you got other problems that are far more front of mind than, oh, we just lost to West Ham. Like that's really not your biggest thought in your brain now, is it?
No,
so that's the whole...
Congratulations for winning at the weekend, but actually it wasn't until I thought, oh shit, I've got to get on the podcast and say congratulations to Suj that I'd really thought about the context of losing to West Ham.
Exactly that. It's and that's why it's one of those where we move on, and if we lose to Sunderland this week, then whatever happened this weekend was irrelevant all of a sudden, so it's like we've got to keep our focus not on we beat Spurs, but we've got a bigger job at hand here now. And from an FPL point of view, what a crazy weekend, James. Like if I said to you the top four will get 2 points between them this game week, the bottom four will get 8 points between them this game week. Like no one in the top four won. And no one in the bottom four lost.
The bottom four have all gone unbeaten against sides that are in the Champions League.
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
On top of Everton winning at Villa as well. So.
Yeah, wow. So again, an advert. You've got to say it's an advert for the Premier League and the depth that we do have in this league in
other
any
than the
given week.
Manchester Derby, what I watched this weekend was fairly dreadful.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you went to our game, and obviously you're biased with that, but let's not forget in that game specifically, 38 shots and 6 big chances. From an entertainment point of view, it was a decent game. Like there was periods where I thought, we can get 2 or 3. There's periods where I thought you guys were going to score. This is an entertainment business as well, right? As well as being a sport. And I think even if you look at the Liverpool game, they had a lot of chances, maybe low quality. In amongst that, I do agree, though, there was a bit of dross as well, right? Like seeing a 0-0 Forest Arsenal, the 0-0 Wolves Newcastle. There was quite a bit of dross in amongst it as well. And ultimately didn't translate to a lot of FPL points for a lot of template players, did it?
No. I mean, like Nico said to me this morning, he said, should I put on a thumbnail for the podcast on YouTube? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. It's a bit on there.
Michele?
No, I told him go Bruno Fernandes and go Somerville for Suj. That's what I told him.
Fine. So. Okay, that'll do. Interesting. Let's talk about our teams and then we'll cover off the games as we do each and every week. And when we get there, you can put the boot in as much as you want. People that listen to the differential show on Friday, which will be only our patrons, and we'll give a shout out to Patreon later, will know that I made a transfer on the Friday after weird dreams on Thursday. So for some reason, on Thursday evening, I decided that I was going to sell Cunha for Enzo Fernandez. Looked like my long-term move, difficult fixtures coming up for Manchester United and so on and so on. Price changes happening overnight. I was watching the boys on Above Average do their kind of preview before the weekend. And I always like to listen to that before, or a show of some sort, or whatever catches my attention on YouTube before I make my transfer, just to reinforce what am I actually thinking in my brain. Fell asleep. But I had this vision in my mind, call it a dream, that I'd seen a tweet or some information from someone. And I do really feel like it was the tweet from Sam who got the assist FPL Pricey, to say that Cunha wasn't available, so just get it done. And I honestly dreamt that I had made the Cunha to Enzo move on Thursday night. We woke up on Friday. We were recording I woke up on Friday, didn't look at my team, convinced that I'd done that move. We were going to record the differential show, which we do on every Friday, or whenever there's a game week coming up. We preview the game week, we put our predictions down, we talk about our transfers for the patrons. And only 5-10 minutes before we were recording, I looked to check my team and I was like, oh, I didn't actually make that transfer. I must have dreamt that I had seen some information that Cunha wasn't going to play for Manchester United and made that move. And at that moment, I did it straight away. I don't even know why I did it, because maybe I felt like it was Saturday, not Friday. And I thought, okay, let me make this move. Cunha to Enzo. You called me out and said, yeah, there was no need. At this point, I'd missed the price rise. Why did I go so early? Guess how I felt when I saw Cunha wasn't in the starting lineup for Manchester United.
Like a hero.
I was like, not like a hero, but I was just like, this is really weird that actually that imaginary tweet that I thought had played out has played out. Great. Yeah, really bizarre. So that was the move that I made twice, once in my dream and once in reality. Ended up with a massive 11-pointer from Robert Sanchez in goal this week. Jammy, got to say it's jammy, that 11-pointer, because Brentford really should have scored in that game. Double clean sheet from Arsenal with the bonus points for Gabriel as well. So Gabriel and Timber. Assist for Enzo, and a massive def con from Jared Bowen, which I'll take all day long. I ended up captaining Haaland, James. I bottled it on Saturday morning. I was going to go Ekitike, and the ownership scared me, and I went to Haaland. In the end, no difference. 46 points, green arrow, up a few 100K inside the top million again. Still got two free transfers. All out, James. All out. Nothing to play tonight in the Brighton Bournemouth game. 46. Okay. Yeah, it's all right. It's middle of the road. I think it'll end up being a green arrow, but a small green arrow.
What are you thinking next?
So, did you jump on the bandwagon on Saturday night, James? Which was Foden to Fernandes? No, me neither.
No, buying a player when they're about to play Arsenal away.
Yeah, 8 days before they're playing Arsenal away. It just seemed ridiculous.
I mean, I say that if there's speculation that Foden got a wrist
broken
injury,
hand. Yeah.
If he's going to be ruled out, which I've seen plenty of people play with like casts and stuff. If he's going to be ruled out, that's probably where I'm going. So yeah, I would do it later in the week, and there's every chance that would be just for value purposes and maybe not even play Bruno Fernandes this week, because the intention is to buy him in game week 24. I'm not chasing that. It's completely nonsensical, I'm afraid to say. I know some will have done it, but I mean, if I tell you now Foden was going to start against Wolves, and we obviously don't know if he does, and then Fernandes is playing against Arsenal, and nearly all of you will have Arsenal defensive coverage. It doesn't make sense.
It didn't make any sense to me either.
It might go well for you, but I'm not maximising the possibility of what a game week could be. If I brought Bruno Fernandes in and wanted to play him, the best possible result for me is that the game's 0-0, and he eats a DEFCON, and everyone gets like 6-6-5. It's not right.
Yeah, exactly that. My thinking was that there is other moves that I could probably make. Firstly, if that was my biggest problem right now, being Phil Foden, then there's other players that are under consideration, including Morgan Rogers and a few others. And with Bruno having Arsenal away, he is not my top priority to get. And actually, I've got other problems that I would rather fix right now. The one, Maxence Lacroix, is my biggest headache right now. I think Nico O'Reilly was obviously dropped but came on at half-time. I think he'll play again against Wolves because Rico Lewis didn't have the best game.
Depends on midweek in Bodo and what the lineup is. And
exactly. But so Nico O'Reilly's not my biggest problem. Maxence Lacroix is a bit of a frustration. I'm not selling Jared Bowen now before Sunderland at home, despite his run of blanks. Ekitike is the other one that I would potentially be considering moving on, but he was lively in that home fixture. He was in and amongst it. He was getting about it. Obviously, we know that Isak isn't available, and I think he'll play against Bournemouth. So those two are future moves that I want to fix and do something about. And Maxence Lacroix is something I want to do something about right now for no other reason than he's just lost one of his partners in crime in Mark Gahey. Oliver Glasner, based on current mental state, I don't even know where Palace are really, to be honest with you. Like if he's got to be top of the betting odds to be the next manager gone, hasn't he? Really? Thomas Frank after the game said, I'm enjoying the backing from the board or whatever else. Oliver Glasner went into his press conference and just said, fuck you to the ownership, to be honest with you. So based on that alone, I understand that Frank's on-field performances probably justify losing his role more. But he didn't just go out in the media and show two fingers to the ownership, which Oliver Glasner pretty much did, which is why I would consider Oliver Glasner as at more risk. And also, you've got a game midweek, So
I'm somewhat hoping that Frank is going to be sacked before this podcast is finished.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Let's timestamp it. It's 10:15 in the morning on Monday.
I'm sorry for you, but I don't think that's going to happen. So Maxence Lacroix for me is my biggest problem that I want to move on. Though I do have 2 free transfers, so I could make double moves. No idea where I go from him though, James. I'm not sure.
I probably wouldn't bother with that. There's every chance you're going to want him back in a couple of weeks, no? With the run Palace have got coming up.
It's not about the run that they've got. It's sometimes you stick with a player when the team are performing badly and they're missing key bodies. And Mark Gahey is now gone. Like, what are they going to do? Play Lerma in central defence or?
But that's what they've been doing.
Yeah, but
they'll probably go into the market, wouldn't they? They'll take Dragishin on loan from us.
Apparently not, mate. They're being abandoned in the transfer market, James.
So he said. Yeah.
Well, so I don't know. Maybe they've said to him that we're not going to reinvest in this window. Who knows?
With respect to the people there, if Oliver Glasner had said that at a top club, he'd be sacked. As you've seen with Maresca and Ambrin, once you start calling people upstairs, they've made a decision that they're better off. Once the transfer window closes, they just let Glasner do the football till the end of the season, and then he's gone. We'll come back onto Palace anyway. That's by the by at the moment. Shatimi,
please.
So 40 points, which currently is a small green for me. Although I recognise with auto subs it's a small red, but I've also got Bartford Bruggen to go tonight. So I'm expecting to be greyish, which with the 101 I had 2 weeks ago, if you'd have said to me I basically have 2 greys in a row after that, I actually had been really, really pleased.
Yeah, consolidate.
Exactly that. So it's not a great week, but obviously others around me haven't hurt. Pretty much the only player that really do serious damage to my rank this week was Saka, and obviously didn't start for Arsenal. So my returnees are defenders: Gabriel 8, Timber 5, Malik Chow 9. That's my lot, mate. 3s from Gimrez and Rice. Somewhat unfortunate, I think, not to have bits in terms of forward personnel returns. I bought Morgan Rogers really early in the week for Cunha. I'm really pleased with that decision. Despite the outcome, Morgan Rogers posted his second best XG of the season in a game yesterday. Ekitike, I mean, I don't understand why anyone would want to get rid of him at the moment. I mean this genuinely seriously. His XGI at the weekend was 1.2 off the back of not playing in the previous 2 games. His XGI in the game before against Leeds was 1.33. Before that, it was 0.63 against Wolves. It was 0.29 at Tottenham in the game that he scored in. It was 0.83 against Brighton before that, 1.02 in the 2-2 draw at Leeds before that. He's posting up some serious numbers, just not gone in at the moment. So, I mean, I actually view him still as a long-term hold until Isak's back around, personally. That's my take at the moment. As you said, Brentford could have well scored at Chelsea, although the majority of the chances fell to Kevin Sade rather than Thiago. Yeah, I'm content with this. Shitty week for most people. Absolutely fine. Intention, subject to whatever happens in Europe this week and possible injuries. Obviously, if Foden can't play with this reported hand injury, then I want to deal with it. But like I said, even Fernandes would be the transfer. I'm not sure I'd even start him with what I've got. I mean, I've got the team bust at the moment with Morgan Rogers first sub away to Newcastle.
Yeah.
So I feel in a strong position going into this week. The intention would play Nico O'Reilly. If I don't think O'Reilly's going to start, I've got Alderete at yourselves or Chow at home to Villa. I feel pretty stocked for this week. So unless I've got major issues, the intention was to roll and then make a few moves in 24. Bruno Fernandes on agenda. Enzo Fernandez, another possibility. And I probably do want to change one defensive one because I think after this week, I will want O'Reilly to go. My intention is to move that on. My biggest decision probably as it would stand this week is who to play in goal. And as I've got Harry Wilson and my team are bleep, I'll probably play Martin Dubravka at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Tottenham, like this run of letting teams who haven't won in ages suddenly
we take it to new levels here, mate. Honestly,
is really incredible, and it wouldn't surprise me with Burnley at all if they were able to get something at the weekend. So get a win.
True at Liverpool. I mean, if you look at the data, it looks like they were quite fortuitous to do so. I know Liverpool fans aren't happy with the performance necessarily at the weekend. So. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely see Burnley beating us 1-0, irrespective of who's managing the team.
Yeah. I could. All right, let's talk about some of these games, James. But before we do you want to give the listeners a rundown of what we've got on the schedule for the rest of the week, which is your reason to subscribe wherever you're listening to the audio, or if you're on YouTube, helps the algorithm, puts us out there and grows the listener numbers, which is all well and good. Is there a fan view with Ricky Saunders coming later in the week?
Pasha correspondence recorded tonight for tomorrow is Burnley versus Tottenham Hotspur with Jack Turner and Ricky Saunders. I don't do this shit on purpose, I absolutely swear.
Yeah, this is planned well in advance. I get it.
It's unbelievable the way it works sometimes. Ask James is going to be Wednesday. Me and David are going to do a transfer window show on Thursday, looking at the kind of introduction properly to some of the new signings we might be less familiar with, and also talk about what clubs may be doing between now and the transfer window closing, which I believe is the Monday after game week 24.
Correct. The 2nd of February.
And we'll obviously do the weekender on Friday, where we'll probably include the madness of what happened in the African Cup of Nations final last night as well. So we'll save that for Friday. That'll also feature our Slack stories for advanced tier patrons on Patreon this week. The podcast on Patreon this week is Tottenham today, Tottenham tomorrow, Tottenham Wednesday, Tottenham Thursday, Tottenham Friday. I did think about doing it.
Every day.
Just do it every day, basically. Q&A today, UCL Fantasy tomorrow. Tottenham is scheduled for Wednesday after... I mean, God knows what the atmosphere is going to be like against Dortmund tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Thursday, Money in Football, and Game Week 23 preview, the differential show on Friday. Advanced tier content will include Nico's Corner today. I'm going to have a deeper dive into why Virgil van Dijk's DEFCONs have disappeared this season on what the numbers say. As I said, we've got Slack stories as well, Midweek Dilemma Wednesday, and Team News Stream on Friday. That'll also be available for Intermediate Plus tier patrons on Friday as well. There is no deadline stream this weekend. Please support other Planet FPL, other FPL content creators with their deadline streams on Saturday, because you know for my sins where I'll be. And I'm still wearing my colours. Because I need a doctor.
James going to Burnley.
We are the doctor, aren't we? We make everyone else better.
Yeah, this is it. I was thinking about that on the weekend, but I'm going to save that joke for Tottenham on Wednesday for the patrons. It's going to snow up in the northwest this weekend because James is going to Burnley away. So is it due to snow?
Yeah, it is. It is projected to snow in Burnley on late Saturday afternoon. There is no threat to games here, by the way. We're talking about probably sleet in a 4-degree temperature and stuff. But yes, there is projected snow in Burnley on Saturday, for those wondering, yes.
You cannot make this stuff up. Cool. So yes, as James mentioned, that's all that content. That content's also available on Patreon. You can now link up your Patreon if you are a patron to your Spotify account and just get all of your podcasts directly into there, which is handy to make life easier for you. Our Slack community, James's fixture planning spreadsheet, is available on Slack. If you watched the Chip Talk show from last week, Thursday, then you'll be familiar with some of the prediction forecasted tables and stuff. That's all in James's fixture planning spreadsheet. So make sure you go and have a look over on Patreon. Plenty of other benefits like price leagues and stuff as well. Right, let's get into the game change because this is the fun part for the most part. Manchester United 6, Manchester City 0.
Oh, that's your big chances reference because I know you like to get one in every week, but ultimately, had it finished that way, I don't think City could have massively complained.
Listen,
they got absolutely destroyed.
That doesn't even include the offside goal, obviously, as well, because that doesn't go onto the stats. Does it? That just gets completely chalked off. So, yeah. So
three of them?
I thought it was 2.
It was Fernandes in the first half, wasn't it?
Fernandes in the first half, and
I felt really sorry for Bruno Fernandes on his disallowed goal in the first half because he thinks he's offside. He walks around the goalkeeper, sits the defender down, rolls it in, and turns and looks for the linesman for like a good 2 seconds. He's like, "Are you going to put your flag up?" And he doesn't, and the linesman starts running back. So Fernandes thinks, "Oh, I'm good." Lana should just stick his flag. He decides to run back to where the offence is committed. No, stick your flag up first, then go back to the position to then clarify. That's wrong on the player. That's really bad.
But by the by, I mean, it just felt like every opportunity they got to run at City shat themselves. Just anybody, there's so many players that were able and willing to carry the ball, whether it's Ahmad or Bumo or Dorgu. They just had the pace, and alongside it came 2 or 3 other runners at the same time. It felt like they were on the turnover, able to swarm City. And for all the possession that City had, nothing. They weren't able to create anything.
No, very little. I mean, this was an outstanding performance from Michael Carrick and Manchester United. The crowd played their part. Everyone involved in that at Old Trafford at the weekend has done really well. Team selection was interesting. So I saw actually was a Middlesbrough fan. Forget me, I forget the name of the account, but someone had said to Harry, FPL Harry, on Friday, don't be surprised, and he was a Middlesbrough fan, so he's obviously used to Michael Carrick. He said, don't be surprised if Bruno starts as the 9. Now I don't know if that was a specific for the weekend and stuff, but we'd obviously got this kind of rumoured team that was going around ahead of the deadline. Samuel Luckhurst, amongst others, had kind of leaked what this looks like, and obviously Cunha wasn't in it. So yes, Bumo played as the 9. He played Dorgu and Diallo in wide areas. Fernandes played as a 10. Mainu played with Casemiro. I mean, Kobe Mainu was great, and it kind of beggars belief how little he's been playing for me. Dallo and Shaw as the fullbacks, with Maguire in with Martinez. I think they've missed Maguire a little. I know he's Marmite for people, but he brings an element of experience. And obviously, when you play against Haaland, you want someone who's really up for that physical battle. And obviously, Harry Maguire can really look after himself from that perspective. Doesn't put himself in a position where he's going to get done for pace by Haaland. So that's how they lined up. City started really nervously. Their back 4 in the opening period was all over the place.
Yeah, when you consider, though,
I get it. It's a second string back line.
Completely second string. It's not even like 1 or 2 have swapped. It's the whole back 4.
Yeah, so Rico Lewis played, Matthias Nunes was ill. Aki played left back, which didn't surprise me. I'd covered that with David on the weekend or on Friday. Kusanov and Alain. Max Alain did really well at Newcastle, actually. Kusanov likes to try and be really assertive, but they all had nervy moments in the opening period of the game. And I felt like Rodri and Bernardo were having to kind of sit in between them to help kind of build attacks and stuff. But they looked so vulnerable against the pace and intensity of United. And how many times we said that? Pace and intensity of United. So it was kind of 4-4-2 off the ball for United, which is what a lot of teams do, but very narrow. But they had pressing jumpers all the way through. So Dallo, if he was at the right back position, would go and be brave and go up in against Nathan Ake, and they'd all jump across. So they were always kind of leaving themselves a man short. If City played massive diagonals, City aren't going to do that too much, right? It needed everybody in sync to be in pressing positions, kind of closing off 2 people at one time in terms of passing lanes. Okay, I'll let you have this pass, but as soon as it goes, I'm going to press here. And they're in sync. You know what it looked like, truthfully? It looked like a team that's been well coached this week. It really did, in seriousness.
Yeah, I'm very wary about how much credit do we give to Michael Carrick. I mean, he does get some, but can he really have had that much impact from a tactical point of view in just a handful of days? So, I'm sure he can change the atmosphere and keeping it simple in terms of strategy, but let's not get carried away because he's only had 4 or 5 days,
True, but also when he did the job before, he beat Arsenal, drew with Chelsea, and they beat someone else as well. I'm not sure if it was, I don't think it was Liverpool, but I know like the 4 managers he's faced, you're like, wow, and he's won 3 and drawn 1. So yeah, look, I think Manchester United will have quite a positive end to this season. And I think there's every chance that they'll finish in the top 5. The benefit for them is the feel-good factor is back. Everyone's going to support this, at least in the short term, and they only play once a week. So it's no surprise that people want Bruno Fernandes. I would say any other choice at this moment is difficult. And I do advise, generally speaking, they are playing Arsenal this week. Like, unless you are absolutely going to be cut off of the move.
Away as well. It's at the Emirates, right?
Like, roll. I don't see how you are anyway. Roll, and then you've got 2 free transfers next week, and then you can find your way to get Bruno Fernandes. Because I might get cut off of Foden to Fernandes, but then I'm hopefully in a position where I've got 3 frees next week, and it's not a problem. Bumo will have to monitor very, very closely. I think out of this weekend, Bumo and Ahmad will create alert because as a consequence of Ahmad playing on the right, and I think a lot of us kind of thought Ahmad might be kind of the fall guy of this change to system. He's worth real close monitoring, Ahmad, because if he's going to play right wing every single game, actually, he's a decent little asset at his value, Ahmad Diallo. What price is he, Serge Ahmad? I'll tell you.
I don't know.
6.2.
Okay.
Yeah, that want monitoring if he's going to play there every week, but we can't know that, right? Bumo started through the middle. Cunha's not started. Sesko's also not played at all in the game, and he's kind of the outright number 9. So they've gone for a position, and I do feel a little bit sorry for Amram in the sense that 3 weeks ago, they're missing, like, it felt like the whole team. Now you're like, oh my God, depth off the bench, not even using Sesko and stuff. So those other attacking players want monitoring, particularly Bumo, but I also think Ahmad, at the moment, you'd have to write Sesko and Cunha off as assets until you see something different. Also, I don't think we could be surprised if it's not the same team at Arsenal. That is every chance it will be. What that then means for a kind of fixture run afterwards might be very, very different. So I don't think we should take too much on this so far, but I would say Ahmad and Bumo need very, very close monitoring. There is no reason to not go for Bruno Fernandes in game week 24. Like, he will be coming in for me. I'm just not bringing him in for Arsenal away, basically.
With Bumo, though, is it a case of Bruno or Bumo, or are you definitely fixed on Bruno? Because if you'll remember earlier in the season, there was that period where there was $1 million between them, but then Bumo's price kept creeping up. Fernandes had a drop, and it was like 8.5 versus 8.9. Now we're back to that whole, almost a full $1 million between them again, where Bumo's 8.2, Fernandes is 9.1. So the debate is going to be had again. Is he worth an extra? It's actually the other way, 8.1 and 9.2. So is he worth more than $1 million more than Bumo?
He is. Yeah. I mean, this is quite plain, simple number here. Bruno Fernandes has 17 points in his last 2 matches in FPL. He hasn't scored.
Yeah. With this is what frustrates people a lot, isn't it? When he gets the bonus points and the all-round way that he picks up points.
He's average 8.5 points per game from an assist in each game. This is the thing with Bruno. He doesn't need to do a lot. This is why loads of people captain him. I think it was the West Ham game maybe, or maybe the Wolves game. No, it was absent the Wolves game. West Ham game, wasn't it? And the argument is very, very fair. It's like, if he scores, he's on a monster return. If he'd have scored at the weekend, it's 15 points. He can hit 14 points basically, like in a game, which is 1 attack in return.
Yeah, it's crazy. You're right. In
fact, it wouldn't have been 15 points. It would have been more, wasn't it? Because what did he get for bonus points at the weekend?
He ended up in total 10. I haven't got that in front of me. Dorgu got 15. He got 10. So Dorgu would have picked up top BPS.
Yeah, he doesn't need to do a lot. And actually, by the way, my intention, probably, unless something changed in the next couple of weeks, would be to captain Bruno Fernandes in game week 25. Would be my current intention. That was my intention prior to this week. So it's not like a reactionary thing. That's been my plan for a little while. So game week 24, I want to get him in. I probably do want to captain him in game week 25. Is the current thinking. With that being said, yeah, people can. I understand people going there if they're cut off from value, but I just think it can probably wait a week. I think it's not always worth chasing value. You got to look at that realistically, I think, and say if you think Phil Foden's going to start against Wolves, that is a better asset this week than Bruno Fernandes.
Agreed.
It is. I'm sorry. So
you don't have to apologise. It's facts.
No, but I know people have done it, right? And he's like, "Oh, have I made a mistake?" No, you chase the value. It's fine. You definitely want to get there. I know some people are like, "Oh, I want." The fact that it's Arsenal specifically as well. Surely you've all got Arsenal defence. Nearly everybody has at least got one. Like that, from my perspective, that doesn't make sense to me. I wouldn't be looking at them yet defensively, but we would note the fact that that was a clean sheet. I mean, that's only their third clean sheet this season. I think Manchester United. City, poor. It is worth acknowledging that Diogo Dalot could have been sent off in the first half, and then we've got a very different game here. But yeah, that wasn't great from City, but I think it was primarily the pressure of nervousness defensively. Mark Gay obviously is going to sign. Mark Gay will go straight in the team. I think there's 2 points here to say on City. Don't chase anything at this point. Truthfully, I think there's fixtures coming up afterwards. It might be Tottenham with a different manager and a bit of a bounce in 24. Then they go to Liverpool in 25. I wouldn't just look at Wolves this week, who are now unbeaten in 5, I think. I think I'll need to steam into Semenyo this week or something like that. I'd leave it be. But also, at this stage, anything you've got, I'd be keeping until I was in a position to think, I'm definitely sure that they're not starting this weekend. Because it's still a great fixture, right? So I know there'll be one or two who are going to walk into this weekend with 5 Manchester City players. You're going to have like Gay, O'Reilly, Foden, Semenyo, Haaland. If I told you now that they'd all start, and I get it, it might feel unlikely. Okay, now you're going to have 5 Manchester City players at home to Wolves.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it be. Even if you went with it and went, one of them's probably going to get benched, I'll have 4. Do it. I would suggest Mark Gay will go straight in the team. If I owned Mark Gay, and obviously those who've been on him for the majority of the season bought up like 4.5, was he? Did he start with Mark Gay?
He was.
Why would you sell that?
Yeah, agreed.
Nico O'Reilly, I think, is expendable after this week. I would say those of us who got Phil Foden like me are thinking of moving off. It's a next week thing. Semenyo would be an easier hold. Cherky, I think, could be a great asset, but you look at things like the weekend, him not starting is quite frustrating. Haaland, so a lot of people keep saying, well, is he worth the money? Yeah, of course he's worth the money till somebody else means that we should spread that money. And I'll be captaining him again this week.
Well, Cole Palmer scored a penalty at the weekend. Chelsea 2, Brentford 0. He might be one of the players that we might look at in a bit and think we want to get the funds to get him in. I can't at the moment either, but he is more likely than anybody else at that price point. Like compared to a Salah coming back from AFCON and looking at that, you're not going to find the money to want to get him. I'd say it's more likely that I'd buy Cole Palmer over Mo Salah, for example, but the actual reality is neither. What do we learn, James? 2-0 to Chelsea. I mean, Brentford, if they could finish just a little bit more composure in front of goal, this could have ended quite differently. But in the end, you've got a very well taken goal by João Pedro, a mistake from Kelleher and dragging down the lap, and a penalty nicely put away, but not a bit shaky from Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should say that Liam Rosenior had said that there was quite a bit of illness in the camp. So there was a few that had missed out against Arsenal in the League Cup. Esteval was on top of that then at the weekend as well. So you might not have seen the best version of them. The report for those who haven't seen the game was that Robert Sanchez was allowed on occasion to go long if he needed to do so. So it was already a quick correction from some of the stuff we'd saw from the Arsenal game. And obviously he's ended up walking off with a haul and I guess arguably man of the match. He's made 6 saves. I mean, Kelleher didn't make any. So I think those who had Sanchez, like you, might have been a bit concerned after that Arsenal game. You can probably calm that back down. I still probably wouldn't chase after it. I'd be a bit nervous about at least until the transfer window is closed. I'd be a bit conscious of it.
Yeah, but also not sell it. He's in a no sell territory. You've got Palace, West Ham, Wolves as the next 3. I mean, would 3 clean sheets in that surprise you? Possibly
Ultimately,
not.
This is the part of the deal with Chelsea assets, I think, at the moment. If you commit to something, you ain't going anywhere till game of 28. It is what it is, unless it gets injured or suspended or stuff. So I think Enzo Fernandez is obviously really on radar for me, as is Trevor Chalobah. And should something happen to Wesley Fofana, then I'd have to start thinking about tossing because he's 4.0. I'd have to give it some thought and think about it, but it might be something that becomes a problem later, further down the line. They've also obviously got Benoit Badiashile, and they're also being linked with a defender who's playing in Ligue 1 at the moment, whose name escapes me. That might be kind of the, I guess, marquee signing of this window for Chelsea. They've got to do something, haven't they? I got asked that at the weekend. Who do you see doing business? I'm like, yeah, Chelsea are a bit too quiet for my liking. Yep. Don't rule them out. So you got to know the transfer window's open. Think about that. I don't think we have true clarity yet on what Enzo Fernandez positioning looks like. He ended up playing kind of quite deep against Arsenal, but the problem is Arsenal. I said, don't judge too much about Arsenal. He started in quite a deep role at the weekend, but still ended up box crashing as you would want to see him do, right? He's got quite a fortuitous assist in this game. The data obviously is nothing. That's essentially his attacking output in terms of data from the weekend, but I still think he'd be the one. If I'm going to go invest in them, it's them. If it's defensively, Chalobah probably at this moment is worth paying extra over Adebayo's, Reece James, Gusto, and I'd say probably worth the saving versus Cucurella.
I had flirted with the idea of Chalobah as my Lacroix replacement. This is going back a week or so, but based on what I saw at the weekend, doubling up on Chelsea's off the table completely for me defensively. There's no way I'm going to add a defender to Sanchez.
Well, you just got to think about with Chelsea as well is, again, transfer window is one, but also clearly these fixtures coming up are amazing. We've covered it several times, though. You are going to get rotation. I would even look at someone like Chalobah. If I invest in Chalobah, I'm going to know that probably across those 4 really good fixtures, 24 to 28, is probably at least one he's not starting. And I think that could apply to every Chelsea player. You've also got to think is, what do you want to do when you get the game at 28? Because you get the game at 28 and you start saying, it's Arsenal away, and then it's Villa away, and you're like, I possibly want to deal with this, right? It might depend on your strategy and what you're doing. 31, they go to Everton, it's still okay. Newcastle in 30 at home is obviously fine as well. I just want some thoughts. On Palmer, at the end of the game, Sergi's gone, sat down, and he's absolutely shattered. He's got major taping and bandaging around this thigh/groin problem, whatever it is at the moment. Yeah, I wouldn't be going near it. Personally, he scored a penalty. You'd fancy him to score a penalty, wouldn't you?
Always.
It's nothing else data-wise. He scored a penalty against Bournemouth the other week. It's nothing data-wise until I think he's free of this problem, or he puts in performances that makes me go, this is a bit of a problem. I've got absolutely no interest in buying him whatsoever. None. Not even remotely tempted. I think the key point is you go, are you worried about going without him? No. That I think speaks volumes. Personally.
Same. He's in that bracket with Saka and Salah that I'm not too scared of not owning. What about Brentford? Any love? I mean, they've got one good fixture this week with Forest at home, but then it gets a bit tougher with Villa, Newcastle, Arsenal, and then tack on Brighton as well as the next 4. I don't know if you really want to steam in now as a long term. It's really.
I think Thiago went up in price again last night. I think, didn't he? So
he was due to. I did see that.
With Forest at home this weekend, obviously catch a little bit of attention, but the 3 fixtures immediately after that are pretty rough. So no, personally, it's the same message I've been giving weekly on this. I think if you're a Thiago owner, you're obviously keeping this week and you're playing. That's without question. If you don't own, wouldn't be running to it personally. He's had one decent headed chance in the second half in this one, but as said earlier, it's Sade is the one who should have had opportunity. Why he didn't shoot for that one in the first half when he chopped back inside?
Slot it in. Slot it in.
What he was thinking. And actually, that's obviously not part of his data at the weekend because it got cut out by a Chelsea player. So it doesn't register on XG or XA or if he shoots on goal from where he is positioning wise, it's got to be like 0.3, 0.4 minimum for XG. That would put his XGI at the weekend at 1. But I think with him, obviously he's a player that thrives on space. We shouldn't necessarily expect that against Nottingham Forest at the weekend, right? That feels more of a Thiago game for me. Whereas maybe some of the more difficult ones afterwards actually are maybe more Sade games because of the ability to find space in behind. No, I wouldn't be chasing them. Also, obviously, for Van den Berg owners, now becoming a real concern that he's not getting back in the team. So it's possible they were so good against Sunderland that there was a reward that it's largely been team has gone again. Utara didn't come straight back in. Jensen and Damsgaard played. I think that might change again now. Those who went Lewis Potter, I think you knew this was probably going to happen where he'd end up coming back out the team again. So no, there'd be a few that maybe want to move on a few Brentford assets and those like Vandenberg and stuff. I think with the fixtures, you'll look at Forest this week and think it's great, but I don't actually see any reason at this moment. I think the Keith Andrews would change it back up because they're really unlucky to lose this by the sounds of it.
Yep. Leeds 1, Fulham 0. These guys are doing my head in, man, Leeds, because I just need them to start dropping some points or not picking up some points. So that
you ain't catching them, mate.
I wouldn't say that.
No, they're going to be fine. They're too strong at home.
Yeah, but they've won 6 games all season so far. They've not been great away. It's still 8 points. Do you know what gives me vibes of is Luton, because they were really good and they gave us all hope and then they faded away. Now I'm not saying that
Luton team was conceding a shitload of goals. We were praising it because we were like, oh my god, they've scored 4 at St James's. Yeah, they also conceded 4.
Yeah, what's the 37 conceded for Leeds?
I realised that was such a bad analogy when Leeds were 3-2 up at Newcastle a couple of weeks ago and lost 4-3. Exactly.
And look, listen, they're also pissing me off because look, they deserve to win this. They got 5 big chances. They didn't give up any to Fulham, and they have been good in this run. It's not like they've been fluking results and stuff. I think you can't it's hard to keep that consistency in the Premier League as we've seen all season. Do I see them doing for the rest of the season what they've done in the last kind of 5, 6, 7 weeks? I don't. I think they will fade off a little bit. But, I mean, their home record is solid. They're good, no doubt about it. They've got goal scorers within that team as well. They've got a good midfield. They're just annoying me, to be honest with you, at the moment, because they've been on such a tear. The only game to lose is Newcastle away since game week 13. That includes Chelsea at home, Palace at home, Liverpool at home, United at home, Fulham at home. Didn't lose any of them.
And they've done it at the weekend, missing a few as well. So Yaka Bijol picked up a hamstring problem in training. So they've moved, obviously, Jayden Bogle back in the team, put James Justin into the back three. I think that's a reward because James Justin's actually been doing quite well in Jayden Bogle's absence. And Ansel Stack picked up a minor problem as well. The word on Stack, for those who own, is every chance that he might be back for the game at Everton, which isn't till next Monday as well. So that's handy in terms of recovery time. So he may well be back for that. They've got Sean Longstaff's back available in the squad now as well. So from a numbers perspective, they've been better from injuries until those Bijol and Stack problems. We thought Daniel James was the only person who was injured. He's a couple of weeks still away. There are links with 1 or 2 players potentially coming in. They might need to do loan business at the moment, Leeds, so they might make that squad even a little bit stronger at this moment. I do know Joe Rodon owners, obviously if you played him this week and you've got the 6 points, you're obviously pretty happy with that. But he's another one where the DEFCON numbers have been coming down quite a bit. I know he had the 3 games that he's missed, but actually he hasn't hit DEFCON since game week 11 against Aston Villa, Joe Rodon. So if you're playing for Leeds and you're not hitting DEFCONs as a cheap enabling defender, you're not going to go and chase that. It should also be noted, obviously, very importantly, that Cole Darlow's coming to the team. I think Lucas Perry's had a few sloppy moments. Cole Darlow, having come in the team and kept a clean sheet, will probably stay in the team for a little bit. He's 3.9. We'd mentioned about Victor John, obviously, when he went in the Forest team.
Yep.
This one wants monitoring a little closer, I think. Yep. Now, their fixtures are pretty shy, but I'll tell you what, if Cole Darlow ends up staying in this Leeds team once we get into April, he'll end up in everybody's team. Near enough. It might even be a case with them that he ends up going in the team even if they don't have a double in game week 33, which the current project. I'm not bench boosting with it. In game week 33, I'm pretty sure they've got a decent fixture anyway. Yeah, it's Wolves at home, which would be double. So if you Darlow 3.9 home to Wolves, you'd probably still do it. I think there wouldn't necessarily have to be a keep with 2 doubles. So monitor that. Don't go chasing it. I mean, it's too early to say. Who knows? Perry might have had a minor problem. They've gone Darlow. But actually, I think he'll probably stay in goal for a bit now. And that needs monitoring longer term. Calvert-Lewin owners, you shouldn't be that upset that he hasn't returned this week. He's not going to return every single game.
Yeah, a few shots and stuff. It's right.
Now we're at the Christmas period. His minutes will be pretty good going forward. Fulham, just a note on him. Harry Wilson, quite central. So he'd been playing a back 3 recently. He's gone back to a back 4 in this one. importantly for them, they've got 3 players obviously returning from AFCON next week. So Bassi, Iwobi will certainly come back into the team somewhere. Iwobi particularly important because we think Sasa Lukic might have picked up a bad injury in the game at the weekend. Will Smith-Rowe might also have picked up a problem as well. Wilson at 10, I'd preferred him back on the right. They played Ryan Sessegnon in that position. We know he can play left or right, basically, Ryan Sessegnon. But I think with Iwobi's return, they want to get Wilson back into the right wing position. Also, Marco Silva said pre-game, he said there is no chance, I worry for him here, no chance that Harry Wilson will leave this month, even though he's obviously out of contract at the end of the season. Money might talk close to deadline. I'd be careful of that. And that could, by the way, cause a massive blow up if they end up going, look, the money's too good, we got to sell him.
Yeah, also, there might be talks of a contract already going on in the background that we don't know about.
Yeah, it could be. He's already got an agreement with
well.
It could be. That's why Marco Silva said that. I know he's going to Monaco or Marseille next year or whatever. Yeah, it could be.
Cool. Let's talk about Liverpool 1, Burnley 1. I mean, if you look at it on the stats, there's 2 stories to be told. Liverpool's big XG, though that does include the missed penalty, 32 shots, 3 big chances. But when you deep dive into it, there's a lot of long range efforts and low quality shots that make up those 32 shots. I don't think Liverpool fans are particularly happy, despite the domination of 73% possession. There was a real lack of actual final third quality to say that they dominated that game. You know, they didn't pepper Burnley enough to maybe walk away. They probably should have won on sheer volume, but I don't think it was, you know.
No, Dubravka's made 8 saves. So.
Yeah, but the quality of a lot of the shots, like over 20 of the shots is like 0.02 and 0.01 and all this kind of stuff.
But that's normal for a shot. Like I would say 0.2 is going to be kind of around big chance.
0.02, I mean, sorry.
0.2, sorry.
So I'm saying
0.02, yeah, if it's nothing stuff, yeah.
0.02, 0.03, 0.03, 0.03, 0.04, 0.04, 0.02, 0.07, 0.04.
I mean,
Frimpong had a 0.12. Szoboszlai's penalty 0.8.
Not the only, I mean, Szoboszlai, yeah, penalty. But on top of Szoboszlai penalty, Ekitike is not the only one to have posted XGI over 1 in that game at the weekend. So too is Florian Wirtz. And Cody Gakpo's XGI in the game is 0.66 as well. So, like, if you had attacking Liverpool assets going into, you're pretty unlucky here.
The volume, based on volume, yeah.
It can't just be volume, Suj. There has to be some good chances in there as well.
What XG would you consider a good chance?
I would say a chance that's 0.2 or above is a pretty good chance.
Let's see what.
But then some do my head in sometimes. You have to be careful with XG. Like I see some ones where someone has a header on the back post. I'll tell you one that I remember was Ismail Assar at Villa in game week 3, where he had a cross that was too high for him, and he's obviously stretching to get his head on it, but he's like 6 yards out. But he's a big lad anyway, Ismail Assar, right? And they gave the XG on it at like 0.5 or 0.6 or something. It was massive. And he had no control of what he was doing, and it wasn't his fault that he didn't. So I don't really understand that. So look, you always need context around the individual moments within this. As I said, the Liverpool fans that were on our Patreon weren't happy with the way they played at the weekend, but I also feel that very differently circumstances here. They go and win 2-3-0, and it's just one of them we go. Because ultimately, even Marcus Edwards' goal, Alisson should save it, really, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's their only shot. I think one of only 2 shots on target they had.
One shot on target, James.
1 shot on target. Their XG was super low as well. So credit to Burnley, getting something out of it. And I think Liverpool should have followed up on the fact that they were ahead and put the game to bed. But yeah, I do think ultimately this could have been different. Very different.
In terms of Liverpool assets, Ekitike that you talked about already in terms of his XG that he's racking up, I agree with you. Whilst Isak is out, I've got no real urgency to move him on at any given game week. It's going to be a double-digit haul. Florian Wirtz now is starting to return. We know Mo Salah is potentially coming back. So that could end up being a 3 behind Ekitike, Gakpo on the left, Wirtz in the middle,
I
Salah
think
on the right.
that would be the concern for Wirtz now, would be what happens now that Mo comes back. My instinct on that, by the way, is that Mo Salah won't come straight back into the Liverpool team. So people think, it's Bournemouth next. I do want to get rid of Haaland. This is where I can go with the money. I'm not sure that he'll come straight back in the team at Bournemouth next week. So he looks like he's played a role further towards the right. We've seen kind of a real lean to the left, particularly in that period where Ekitike was absent. So I'd have concerns about where he's going to play moving forward. I think that concern also exists with Szoboszlai. I think it's easy to look at, Frimpong played right back. Bradley's out for the season. Frimpong will play now. And it's one thing Frimpong playing right back at Burnley at home. It's another thing for some maybe tougher games that will be coming up to see what Arne Slot wants to do with that. So Szoboszlai feels like could jump back into right back. Same with Curtis Jones. So at this moment, Liverpool assets not on radar. What I would say with Wirtz is he scored 3 times now, and each time he scored, it's a 10-pointer. So he's another one that falls into that category because of how he is and he's creative, he's good ball carrying. If he scores, he's highly likely to be in and around the bonus. We know that. So that means if he's scoring like 1 in 3, you're just automatically getting towards an average of like 5 points per game under that sort of basis, right? So it wants monitoring. Would I pay 8.3 for that new at the moment? No. If I owned, I'd be very close to kind of what I'm doing in terms of alternative assets. Ekitike, as I said, I know people will look at it and it's like, he hasn't scored since I don't know when. I don't know if he's even scored since I bought him, Suj. I'm not even sure. But I have no intention to
possibly
get rid of
not,
this fella whatsoever. The data is really good. And while Isak's injured, I think his minutes will largely good. I don't think he's necessarily going to play every game. I certainly think there are games where you could see a setup similar to what they did at Arsenal, kind of like 2, 10, 9, 8 hybrids, basically. But I think he'll play the majority of the games. I think his fitness is improving. His minutes will largely be quite good. He's playing up front for, despite their frustrations, one of the best teams in the league. I have no interest whatsoever in getting rid of Hugo Ekitike at the moment. None.
Sunderland 2, Palace 1. James, let's talk about this game now. Obviously, the story gets distracted by what's going on with Glasner. How much do you think this off-field stuff is going to end up affecting Crystal Palace now?
Tough to say, because I think, unlike in, say, the circumstance, say, with what's going on at Tottenham at the moment, that most of the players probably still want to work with Oliver Glasner. Certainly those that are starting. I think those on the fringes would be pretty frustrated at lack of opportunities, i.e., for example, they haven't even used a substitute at the weekend. Don't tell me you can't use a substitute. This is silly stuff. But he's trying to make a point, isn't he? Clearly, Oliver Glasner. So I think I would be surprised if he's lost the players from that perspective. So I don't know, Suj. I don't know. I think Palace this season, ultimately, I'm sure they'll stay up. I know there's a little bit of concern they're sliding down the table and they might get dragged into it. I don't think they will. I think Sarr and Munoz will be back next week, and I think that'll make a big difference. And I would be thinking over the weekend, what happens if Sarr and Munoz come back now? Your appointed manager's got a back 4. It might not be the same. You know that right-hand side now, with Munoz, Sarr coming back, the team's going to look very, very different. So I have no concerns about Palace. I know you're thinking of selling the Quar. Kind of eyes on them in a couple of weeks' time for those Burnley and Wolves fixtures in a row.
If I see some sort of level of stability from what's going on off the pitch, maybe. But the fact that he didn't make a substitution, but that almost feels like he didn't make a substitution to back up the point he's trying to make rather than... And this is the point at which you're talking about defending your players and defending your team, but you're also using them to make a point here. So are you really defending them? I'm very skeptical. I mean, the talk is that Mateta could be sold if a big price comes in for him as well, potentially in the windows. I'm very eyes on, but not like in any... Palace
have had weaker benches this season than what they had at the weekend, right? Yes, there's 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Obviously, you're not going to use them. JD Canvo's played centre-back quite a bit. Chadi Riyad's been out for a season. He's back in the squad for the first time. I get not using him. Bruno Souza, I know Palace fans don't think much of, but can play wing-back either side. Joel Drakes-Thomas was the young lad who I saw was terrific against Coops. He played at Macclesfield. Daniel Wimray, they've just recalled from a loan at Blackpool, who couldn't play full-back position. Caden Rodney, midfield player. Christantos Uchi scored a great goal in that game against Coops as well. I know, again, as kind of flat to deceive generally so far, but to say that none of them can be used.
Yeah.
No, you're proving a point. You're not going to put Uche on when you was 2-1 down with 2 minutes to go or something. No. Okay. So he's making a point, and I think we shouldn't rule out the possibility that although the kind of the word at the moment is that he's going to stay, we shouldn't rule out that there are circumstances over the next week or two that change that again. Because what he's essentially saying out there is, you need to buy me some players. Right? Why are the club going to buy players for his specific structure if he's going at the end of the season? If Palace want to buy a back four manager, now I get it. There's certain things like centre back, etc., but they may look at it and go, well, Chadi Riyad can play left-sided centre back, and he's been out injured for a year. There's Gay replacement, and that sort of thing might boil Glasner's piss, where he goes, "Nah, bollocks." I think there might even be an element that they're kind of, I don't want to say hoping, might think that he might go, I'll walk away himself. And he's come out, he obviously said after the game, I'm
not going to. Yeah, it's like,
Correct.
Okay, he's wanting to get sacked rather than be the bad guy himself, clearly.
There is a possibility that
and
that
they want
might
him to walk so that they're not the bad guy, really. So
he'll also be aware that there are other jobs that will pay more money that are available. The Manchester United job in the summer, the Tottenham job is going to be available, I reckon, in 48 hours. It's beginning to look like, as per just reading some news. So he's aware of that. And he knows he'll walk into a job somewhere else and get paid well. I also think he himself, I'd be a bit peed off with personally. And I totally get this is kind of conflicting for Palace fans. And however they feel about it, it's up to them how they feel. But he's obviously come out and he's had this big whinge about selling Gay the day before a game. I get it. He's pissed off. I get it completely. But you yourself have also come out on the day before a game and said that you're leaving the football club at the end of the season. That's you as well. So, what about me? What about me? Oh, yeah, by the way, I'm in the trenches so bad, I'm not staying after this year either, the day before a game. So, what does that do for the players, the supporters travelling up to Sunderland and stuff? It's not great. So, they'll be fine. You've got too many quality players when they're all available, and they've got two really big ones coming back next week that will make a big difference to them.
Let's talk about Sunderland then. I mean, they are
doing great.
The perfect place to go for your kind of low value fillers. I mean, Granit Xhaka, Mukiele, Alderete, even if you've got Ballard at 4.6 or 4.7, whatever, he's 4.6 at the moment. If you want a player at a budget or kind of that level, Sunderland's the place to go, isn't it?
For plenty of cheap ones, yeah. I think, by the way, just a statistic on them, obviously they still haven't lost this season at home. They've now matched the best, the longest period unbeaten for a promoted team in their first season, promoted since Ipswich in the first Premier League season, 92-93. So one more game to match that record. Their next home game for the record is against Burnley.
Yeah.
Absolutely locked in 1-0 away winning it. Absolutely. That's how football works.
No,
absolutely,
because it's going to be Dr. Tottenham that helped Burnley with their winless streak, and then after that they'll go and lose at Sunderland.
Burnley might make 6 points up on us in the next couple of weeks. I should be quite nervous about that. Look, you'd expect them to beat that record in all seriousness. So they're doing absolutely brilliant. There are loads of assets you can consider from Sunderland, and you should note, right, the next two games are against West Ham and Burnley.
Yep.
So if you do want to invest, it's okay. So goalkeeper is good. Ballard, great. DEFCON again at the weekend. Mukiele worth the saving. He's hit DEFCON. Alderete has not hit DEFCON, but is another saving. Reynaldo, straight back in the team. That's for me now. It's about timing, right? So for me, it was like, right, Alderete at 4. If I'm investing in them now, I'm chancing this fella at 3.8. 3.8 for a side who genuinely are going to be able to. I still hear the Sunderland guys on Slack like a couple more wins. I'm telling you guys, with this home record alone, you've got a strong chance here of qualifying for Europe, and you'll have the vocal support for that. Like, what an amazing achievement that would be in the running as well. Imagine if Sunderland win the next two, could easily be like 5th, 6th. So I think at this time now, Reynaldo 3.8 would be worth the saving. If Ballard was the cheapest, that's the one. But I would just go to the cheapest one personally. I think Brobby wants monitoring as well.
Yeah, 5.5. Decent.
He scored 2 in the last 3. Minutes very much on the up. So I think prior to scoring at Tottenham, there was concern about him from a minutes perspective, was kind of not making it past 65, 70. He's now played 90, 90, 83. He has ultimately got cramp, which have you seen them all laughing at him? He gets cramp when he scores. And have you seen the video of all his teammates laughing at him?
I thought
he's really good.
Initially, you're first thinking, well, has he actually injured himself? Hang on a second. Let's not. You don't want to make sure.
When you get cramp, and obviously he's got adrenaline going through him in terms of he wants to celebrate with the crowd at the same time. Must be such a weird feeling to have that at the same moment. So he's established himself now, I think, clearly as the 9. They've got more players to come back from AFCON. Diarra and Talby be back next week. So they've got the full complement of players back. They might do something this transfer window. I think Brobby at 5.5 wants to begin to get a little bit of attention. I'm not suggesting people run and go down. I think he's one of them. People will find him a bit like Thiago. So people who own Thiago when he was having blanks, like he's shit. I think you'll think similar about Brobby because his power is like play it into him. He's a big kind of physical presence, etc. So I think if you don't get returns of him, it will quickly feel like he's shit, etc. I think he'll tick over at that price. I think he might be all right. I'm not going to it myself, but if I was looking for a forward in and around that value, I'd kind of have him on the short list at the moment. If I was buying Brobby or Calvert-Lewin at the moment, I'm a fixture head. I'll be buying Brobby. I'd probably want to get something in terms of cover for game week 25 in the sense that they go to Arsenal. But other than that, them fixtures are pretty good. Xhaka, Enzo Lafay, good assets as well. Do you know what? You make a case for 7 or so assets at Sunderland. Very decent. And another great win.
Yeah, let's talk about Tottenham Hotspur 1, West Ham United 2. Yeah.
Right. Do your bit. Firstly, let me say congratulations for winning because I know my head is on fucking Mars with Tottenham at the moment, but I know that you needed that even more. So well done.
Well,
you deserved it.
It was only after seeing Leeds had won, Burnley had drawn, and Forest also then went on to draw later that the importance of this win doubled down for us. I'm not that naive enough to think that this was like handsome as maybe some are thinking. The XG does show that we had a lot of big chances just as easily, though Areola had to make a couple of good saves, but so did Vicario. Disallowed goal for Jared Bowen and so on. I thought the first half we were definitely all on it. Second half we did what West Ham did, and if it had gone the other way and you'd won 2-1 because we'd collapsed towards the end, it wouldn't have surprised me.
There was definitely a period in the game that looked like there was every chance that was going to happen.
But we stuck at it, which we haven't seen previously. 6 West Ham players to get DEFCON in this game, James, shows you the level of work rate. It's like Manchester United against City. You're like, where's this been all season? Like, why is this what we get one week and then we get what we saw against Wolves in another week? Hugely frustrating. The P word, he was nowhere to be seen because of a back injury, but also potentially might be in Brazil. And
this is Paquetá.
Yes. Yeah. And like I've said for a while, I'm happy that it's time for him to potentially move on. Got towards the end of the game where I just wanted to see it out and I was going to take a draw because it just felt like it was getting really scrappy and anything could have happened. When Wilson chested the ball down and took that shot, a good block in the end there from Porro, I was just glad that the ball was at the other end of the pitch. I was like, see this out as a draw. I'm like, okay, we've got a corner. I'm just glad the ball's at the other end of the pitch. And when it went in, I was like, oh, really? Oh, okay. We actually might have won this. And then you still got another fucking 4 or 5 minutes to play. Very happy because I think there was some performers there that really stood up, like Somerville, without a doubt. But that's the 3rd game in a row now where he's added a bit of end product to what he's been able to do. So if he can keep doing that, very happy for him. I think Tati, I really like Tati. I think he's got a bit of learning to do for the Premier League, but I think he's got all the skills to be able to make it in the Premier League. And my favourite player at the moment is Matty Fernandes. I just think he is showing an all-round game. I think he's got a little bit of everything in his game. He's got tackling, tracking back, creativity, good on the ball, keeps it moving. He's the main man for me right now, Matty Fernandes. Yeah, defensively Tadibo as well. I think they all put that work rate in. Areola had to make saves. Very happy overall with the win. Not naive enough to think that all problems are solved. We've still got work to do. But it was a step in the right direction for us, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think Fernandes, by the way, yeah, really, really good. Certainly wouldn't run to that for FPL. I would still rather.
No. He's not an FPL asset, but from a football asset, love him.
Well, you say he's not an FPL asset, Serge, but every now and again he pops up with defcons and stuff and the odd attacking return, right? It's actually technically it's his assist for Somerville, isn't it? I'll say technically.
Don't even know what price. He's 5.5. Yeah.
You'll do worse. I mean, Somerville is same price, isn't it? I think roughly.
Yeah, but so is Granit Xhaka or.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wouldn't be going to either in all seriousness.
So's
and
Jared Gallagher.
Jared Bowen owners, I know, yeah, really frustrated. That's another DEFCON. Keeps
2 this season now.
Keeps picking it up now, doesn't he? Jared Bowen, DEFCONs.
Well, 2. I wouldn't go so far as to say he's a prolific DEFCON guy, James.
Well, it's 14, 9, 13 in the last 3 fixtures. I mean, if he was going to get a DEFCON every week, just hypothetically, you'd probably need to have it. And I mean that genuinely. Because if Jared Bowen's starting on 4 points, right, then that obviously, that's not going to happen every week. I wouldn't be running from him either. If you are, now there's kind of like real frustration. I know if you would have gone to Ekitike this week. So if you still landed there with Jared Bowen, where are you going now this week? You're not going Bowen Thiago this week, are you? I wouldn't.
No. Sunderland at home with the confidence of what's happened at the weekend. I fully expect West Ham to turn up and put a performance in. I've said that before this season and we haven't. So
I thought back four were quite good. Largely, they obviously had to stand quite a bit of pressure in the second half.
It was good to have Wan-Bissaka back in, and he didn't look like he'd been out of the team for a while.
I wanted to say particularly Todibo, because I've been quite critical of him, particularly on our Patreon podcast. I thought he did absolutely fine. Mavropanos gets his head on a lot of stuff as well. And the young boy Oli Scholes, left back, equipped himself absolutely fine.
Yeah, I don't see Diouf coming back into the team, if I'm honest with you. I don't think Scholes has done anything that justifies being dropped.
We'll see. None of these are pickups for FPL anyway.
No one at West Ham is bar Jared Bowen, I would say.
No, they're not. Nothing's to pick up. I think if you're on Bowen, personally, I would, in most scenarios,
at least 1 week hold. Yeah.
For those who've gone for Tottenham assets, you obviously don't listen to me enough. I'm sorry. And you're probably going to feel, but it's Burnley next. You're probably going to feel similar. Let's deal with the kind of the breaking news in terms of where we're at. So, my headspace is not in FPL at the moment. It's in this absolute fast of what's going on with the football club. So there isn't, to my knowledge, because I've been looking for it for the last 36 hours or so, a single Tottenham fan that wouldn't sack Thomas Frank right now. I don't know one, not a single one. So the tide has completely turned over this week. Because I think a few were, what's sacking manager going to change? Probably nothing in the immediate, but he's absolutely hated. You have to understand this on the outside. He's now absolutely hated. And this morning, I actually feel a bit sorry for him now, because what he's going to get tomorrow night, knowing that he's going to get sacked anyway, it's like putting him out of his misery. I'm actually going to feel sorry for him, I think, tomorrow, because it's going to be so bad. So all the reports last night is that Tottenham have made the decision to sack him. That's all the Tottenham ITK information. People who were leaking the team on Friday, people had got information that essentially the decision has been made to let him go. The decision at the moment is that he's still going to take the game tomorrow night. And that's why I say, actually, it's out of order. I don't know if they're open that he's going to go, fuck it, I'll resign. This is very recent news this morning from David Ornstein. He's like, he's still doing everything. He's going to take the team tomorrow. So open
press conference and all that.
Well, he's doing press conference today. I mean, what's that going to be like for him? Bloody hell.
They asked him after the game, right? You're hearing chants that you're getting sacked in the morning. How does it feel? That's a fucking horrible question. For not
resigning, by the way, because the payoff is going to be pretty big for him, right? And good luck to him. He's got to take what he can. There's open training session at 2:15 p.m. today, and then there's a press conference ahead of the Champions League game tomorrow. Is at 3:30 p.m. UK time today. I wouldn't be surprised if something changes in the next couple of hours. But as it stands, he's taking the team tomorrow night. And then we think that as soon as Tottenham have got something in place to replace him, they'll remove him. What they should do at the moment is give John Heitinger, the physio, the kit man, me, you, and I mean you, whoever's listening to this, any of them, the team tomorrow night. It's going to be so bad for him. And what they've done now is bad for them upstairs. because the not putting him out of his misery just looks like clear incompetence, actually, at the top level. Vinay still apparently is unsure. Right, this is ridiculous. He's got to go. I think he'll go somewhere else. He'll go to a mid-level Premier League club, which I realise mine are at the moment, but with expectations that's a good season. 10th, 11th is good. He'll go somewhere like that and he'll do well. I don't think he's a terrible football manager, but he's absolutely a terrible manager for my football club. If you deliver, so I've been down this road too many times, Conte, Mourinho, etc., and this fella is not on their level in terms of capabilities. If you want to play this sort of shit football, you better deliver results. Tottenham have taken 6 points from their last 10 games at home. They've taken 10 points from their last 13 league games. Head out the sand. If Thomas Frank is in charge at Burnley on Saturday, we will get beat. I'm fairly certain of that. The team that is going to be on the pitch tomorrow night is unbelievably bad. Graham Paulini are now doubts. Benson Cor's out for 3 months or so. Bissouma's ineligible. Gallagher's ineligible. Xavi Simons is now a doubt. I actually don't know if we have a midfield player for that game tomorrow night. If people want to gamble their money, don't go mortgages and stuff, but there's a live odds against opportunity tomorrow night that probably some of you should actually take. It's going to be bad tomorrow night. So at least tomorrow, they're getting beat tomorrow night anyway because they haven't got no team. So at least let the fans say, right, you've dealt with that problem, okay, and have support what will probably be a very young team on the pitch tomorrow night. Try and get behind them and give them some support and stuff. What they're going to think of this tomorrow now, it's not worth it. They're going to get beat either way by Dortmund because of the availability of players. Mate, there'll be people are going to be making arrangements in terms of what's going to happen in terms of that inside that stadium now. And I wouldn't be surprised if people head down to the training ground as well. It's getting very, very toxic very, very quickly. I cannot believe that they haven't sacked him. It's incompetence. So now it's like, Vinay, stop talking with all your words. He's got to go. Are you absolutely blind, mate? And the players, by the way, want him out. So it's not just the crowd. The players don't want him there either. So no one wants him at the football club.
We'll get into more detail on tactical stuff with that game and your frustrations as well on Tottenham.
All I want to say on that in terms of the tactical is I spoke on Tottenham last week about play with tempo against Villa. It's your only chance you've got in the cup game because they're obviously superior. It is, again, unbelievably unfathomable to me that you're letting West Ham pass the ball to each other on the halfway line when, with all respect, Such, you're pretty shit as well. And letting you play. Letting you play, mate, in the game.
Somerville's goal, one of your biggest things is lack of through balls, I think has been mentioned a lot with Spurs, right? The Somerville goal was 2 direct passes through your lines. Then it played out to the left and tucked in and shot and goal. And it was like, just a vertical pass like that to be able to get through you so easily. With
his structure's not working anyways. You're being passive and that's not working. Right. Sorry. You have an opportunity again. The two sets of supporters don't like each other, right? There was an opportunity for Tottenham fans to have a bit of a day in the ground, give you a bit of banter in terms of your position in the table. It never got mentioned. No one in the Tottenham crowd had the audacity to say like you're going down or anything like that. No, because unless this changes, we might be joining you. And I recognise there's very little chance that Tottenham are going to get relegated. But if this continues, we will get dragged into this. Yeah. 10 points from 13 games, 6 points from 10 home games. Mate, can we just stop for a second? 6 points from 10 home games. Come on. This is silly now. This is really silly.
All right, let's talk about Nottingham Forest 0, Arsenal 1, James. Forest didn't have a shot on target in this game and hardly racked up any XG or anything. Arsenal just weren't able to finish it off, which can happen for them. But at least they're not losing games in this scenario. The fact that Villa lost and City lost, actually, strangely, Arsenal have come away from the weekend, increasing the gap at the top of the table despite not winning.
Good title race, this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
I'm not even saying that to dig Arsenal fans. I'm just telling you the truth.
They're efficient, right? They haven't conceded a goal. They've got themselves a point. So be it. They could have, in years gone past, maybe shit the bed a little bit, which they didn't. So, it doesn't sound like this was particularly a thriller in any way. It was just Arsenal dominance, and then
did you watch the game?
No, I didn't watch this.
I didn't. Sorry, I had enough on Saturday. No more from me. But so I didn't watch the game. It doesn't sound like I missed a lot.
Nah. Matt Sell's the highest FPL point scorer in this. I think nothing's changed from our kind of point of view in terms of Arsenal's best assets. You still got Gabriel, you still got Timber, Declan Rice is still there. Saka is being looked after, it looks like, clearly, when they don't necessarily need to trot him out week in, week out. They're not going to. You've got to remember, like, Arsenal's still in 4 competitions this season. I know you got the question, I think it was at the end of the deadline stream, wasn't it? What's more likely, Arsenal win all 4 and the season trophyless? And reluctantly you had to say win all 4, wasn't it?
Yeah, they've won this league. I'm sorry, I've told you that for the last 3-4 months.
It's crazy. So, keep your Arsenal assets, use them, play them.
How can anybody have watched Manchester City or Aston Villa this weekend and think that there'll be a challenge?
Yeah, exactly that. Anything from Forest? I know I'm looking at trying to catch them somehow, and
no, look, Elliot Anderson DEFCON again.
Yeah.
So, you know, so you're looking at 5, 7, 4, 4, 3, 4, 3, 4. Like, you know,
consistent.
He is what he is. It's kind of a bit dull. It's probably not for me, really, but he'll fall into pieces.
They've got a good run now. Brentford, Palace, Leeds, Wolves until Liverpool. 4 or 5 games.
Yeah, so there is an opportunity for them.
Ola Aina back in.
There is an opportunity for them. Ola Aina has been obviously back in for a while, and I think that's a plus for them. The problem, I think, for Forest is they are very capable in a game like this, particularly at home, of getting a result, right? It's not the first big side they played at home this season and got a result against. I think more the problem for Forest is they'll keep getting the odd results like this, but they need to win games where they're expected to. This obviously isn't one. So Saturday, positive. When they play Palace, if Palace are still head on fucking the moon as they are at the moment, Forest should be targeting beating them. Then there's Wolves at home. Right, if they win those 2 games, you're going to comfortably get themselves out of shit, right? They want a point per game. They just need to stay above that line. But it's those sort of games that concern me a little bit more for them because they don't have many goals in this team. And I think that's clear. So therefore, when they try and push towards it, they are more susceptible to being open to a good counter-attacking side like Palace, or even Wolves have good ball carriers like Mateus Mane now. So those are kind of the biggest ones for Forest. If Forest play those next 5 games and win the 2 home games, they'll be fine. Yeah. But they've not got to do that, but I'm worried for them offensively. I wouldn't be chasing after their assets defensively, personally. Price value wise, I just don't think it appeals enough.
For me, with Forest, it's Elliot Anderson or nothing really right now. And that's him as a filler there. But while I've got Xhaka there, I'll just keep Xhaka. I don't need to make that move.
For Arsenal, pick your narrative. It's 2 0-0s in a row. So they haven't scored in 2 Premier League games. It doesn't often happen to a team that's going to go on and win the league. But do you want to forget that they scored 7 goals away from home in 2 cup games in between? Right? And I realise a lot of them from set pieces. I did see a stat that I think there's 7 games Arsenal haven't won in the league. I think that's right. They haven't scored a set piece in any of them. And yeah, I think in every game they've won, they've scored a goal from a set piece. I think that's right. If it's not, it's very close.
Yeah, it sounds like one of those that's conveniently manipulated and made up to,
well, of course
to fit.
It is. Yes.
I saw one which was like Nuno's won more points at your place than Tottenham have in 9 months or something. I looked at that stat and I was like,
no, sorry.
Doesn't seem right.
That is a real stat.
Yeah, I thought it was one of those that's been made up to fit the narrative.
The real stat I can tell you is that Nuno Espirito Santo has won as many games at White Hart Lane as Tottenham have since April.
Yeah.
Nuno has won twice at White Hart Lane.
And so have you.
Once with Forest, once with you. Over that period, we've beat Burnley and Brentford. It's legitimately true.
Yeah, painful. Yeah.
You wonder why people pitchforks are coming out today, mate.
Yeah. They got a good run now, Arsenal. Anyway, United's at home fixture, Leeds, Sunderland, Brentford, Tottenham, all the way through. And they'll win their cup games around it. No Champions League issues. Stick with it, free Arsenal.
Yeah, a reminder that there's every chance that we get a projected announcement. I think maybe towards the back end of this week. If that doesn't happen, it doesn't mean that game week 26 is not going to happen, but I think it's something that we could see maybe during the course of this week. So bear that in mind. However, you want minimum 3 Arsenal assets anyway. Saka owners, I think, are beginning to feel but the problem is, and I get it, it's like, I don't want to say, I'm stunned that he didn't start at the weekend because I thought Madueke would play the game at Inter. So we now assume Saka plays in the San Siro. I don't know. Maybe Saka's gone, oh, I want to play in the San Siro. I don't know, right? So whenever you sell a player like this, if you're selling him, should I sell him to Rice? Because that's the regular. It's not like, oh, Saka to Palmer. At the moment, it's like Saka to Rice. If you make that move at any single point, Bukayo Saka will go off and hurt. My viewpoint is that there's no point to playing the 3 million extra for him. But I understand people wanting to hold on, particularly because you are looking at 26. If we said now 26, if they double, who's the best captain? Is it Saka?
He'd be on the list.
I'll be captain Gabriel.
He'd be on the list. Yeah, for me, he just wants to control everything with all the corners and set pieces, and it's all about him. He is the main man with all of those kind of things at Set Piece FC. Cool. We're happy to move to Sunday.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Arsenal.
Okay, because it was a riveting day of goals on Sunday. Wolves 0, Newcastle 0. No big chances in this game. I think there was only 2 shots each on target. Doesn't sound like this was a thriller.
You know what? I'd sat through all of it. I didn't actually hate it. I suppose it was probably an element of being quite impressed with Wolves in the sense that they
Progress.
don't. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it's still one of the weakest sides in the league, but from where it was at 5-6 weeks ago, I think like the people there have got something that they can support and invest in at the moment. Obviously, they're still going to go down. Obviously, the distance is too big and stuff. But you look at them at the moment, you've got to think maybe they're not whipping boys at the moment. It might be that it's just one bad result and then they start getting battered again. It might be like the heads will go. But at the moment, he's 5 unbeaten. I think it's 4 in the league unbeaten. Mm-hmm. Right. Good luck to them, right? They're doing okay. They've got a system that's now working for them. I thought actually the wing backs played quite well yesterday. Hugo Ekitike and Chachua. I thought like they both played all right. I prefer it with Andre in the team because it frees up João Gomez a little bit more. Tolu, I think, is all right up front. The boy Mane is a handful. I'm not going to... Oh, Wolves might double. Like, I've got no interest in that shit, personally. But yeah, they're doing all right. The story is more Newcastle here, isn't it? And the frustrations with this away form. It's like every time they don't win away from home, we talk about it. It's to me, it's quite boring.
Mm. You look at Wolves draw. I mean, they beat Burnley away. Outside of that, lost at Manchester United, lost at Sunderland, beat Everton, but lost at Brentford, lost at West Ham, lost at Brighton, drew at Bournemouth. There's like 2 or 3 away wins all season.
But the 2, I think it's just Everton and Burnley, I think.
Yeah.
Everton, they were 1-0 up after like a minute. And at Burnley, they were 2-0 up in like 7 minutes. It's like if they don't score early,
nothing
really
happening.
Struggling. I think Newcastle assets are probably nearly in sell zone. I say nearly in sell zone because it's a good rule of thumb. Don't sell a Newcastle player when they've got a home game. And it's Villa at home next. A Villa whose heads might be a little bit conflicted following their own result, which we'll discuss in a sec. So, for example, this weekend, my intention would be start Guimaraes rather than Rodgers, if that's my choice. Just purely St James's Park element. Guimaraes is returning home games. That's the way I want to go. Fast forward another week, and if it's sell Guimaraes or Rodgers, it's Guimaraes that's going. So Guimaraes for me is on chopping block as soon as we get past through this week. And there's a chance as well. They've obviously got Champions League game this midweek. If there's any chance I think he doesn't start, then yeah, we could even potentially move that on. For me, it would be Enzo Fernandes at this moment if I had to make the choice. Possibly move that on. Do not chase after Bruno Guimaraes now. Them fixtures aren't good enough moving forward. You've almost got to have a setup like I've got where it's like, oh, I can bench him for Liverpool away, or I can bench him for Man City away. Those are 2 of Newcastle's next 5. To be honest, of the fixtures Tottenham have got in the forthcoming weeks, that's probably the one we most likely win over the next 6 or 7. Is Newcastle at home because of how they are away from home. And it's a game on a Tuesday, midweek, so they probably can't play with their high intensity. I'm assuming we've got a new manager by then. That actually might be the sort of game we get a result in. So Gimra is on a chopping block for me. Malik Chow is slightly different in the sense I think I'm well set because I've got a Sunderland defender as well that the rotation works quite nicely. And at the moment, O'Reilly is a bigger problem for me than Malik Chow. Not specifically for this week, but once I get into next week, it's like, okay, well, Chow can probably sit third sub. I've now dealt with O'Reilly. When they've got decent ones like Brentford at home, I can take it or leave it, but that's possibly dependent on whether I play Thiago or not, because that's conflicting. So in any case, I wouldn't be chasing after any Newcastle assets now. This is more thinking about selling. And what you do with your likes of Voltamade, Gordon, who I think is now 32 Premier League games without a non-penalty goal. It's unbelievable. What you do with these sort of assets is obviously how you feel after the midweek game against PSV and how you feel about potential rotation leading into the weekend, because it's Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday turnaround, right? So if you've got one that doesn't start Wednesday, well, chances are they probably do start against Villa Saturday. And as is at St James's Park, it's still fine. Then I think the fact that you're then looking 3 of the next 4 away and it's Liverpool, Man City, 2 of them, the excuse to sell in 24. I wouldn't be going near any Newcastle new at this stage.
Alrighty, let's talk about Aston Villa 0, Everton 1. I mean, overall on the balance of the game, Aston Villa definitely had obviously more shots and more chances and created more, but not quite enough to really do the damage. Pickford made a number of saves, a nice 10-pointer for him. I think he's worked his way back to where he usually ends up, which is top FPL point scoring goalkeeper. Points obviously defensively across the board for Everton, who put themselves in the top half of the table now, James. Pretty decent going for them, above the likes of Palace and
and this is
Newcastle and Tottenham and Fulham and stuff.
Their away form's been pretty good all kind of since David Moyes returned, actually. And this isn't the first time recently I've gone, don't fancy them at all. Got too many injury issues. I didn't fancy them at Forest. Obviously didn't fancy them for this one. They've walked away with clean sheet and win as well. I actually really like Barry. I know he's going to frustrate. Like I said, it's things that he gets wrong. Like I think his awareness in terms of Villa wanting to play a high line, he gets caught offside quite a bit and stuff. I like him. I think there's a really likable character and player there. I like his willingness off the ball. I think he gets his head on things that he shouldn't do and stuff. And the finish for the goal was really lovely. I really like him. I'm not suggesting this is a fantasy at this moment.
Yeah, but on Everton, the fixtures
I really like him, the player. I think there's something there, maybe.
Yeah, all the way up to 29. I mean, Leeds, Brighton, Fulham, Bournemouth, United, Newcastle, Burnley. But the United, Bournemouth, Leeds games are all home fixtures. We've talked about their half-decent away records. Other than Newcastle there, if you've got an Everton asset, you're likely to want to play him more weeks than not now.
I mean, the problem for it, you could look at their run and say, so what you got to start thinking is, depending on what you're doing strategy, but even those are wild carding soon, most people are going to run through 31 or use it as the dead end. So you're aiming towards there or through it. If you go for an Everton asset like Barry, I think you look at the next 5, see, it's Leeds, Bournemouth, Man United, all at home, trips to Brighton, Fulham, that's all right. Then you look further and it's like, the Burnley home game in there as well, 29. Yeah, but that sits in the middle of trips to Newcastle and Arsenal. And despite what we just said about Newcastle, St James's is St James's. That's not going to feel great. And in Chelsea 31, you may well be carrying Chelsea defensive assets, so it feels conflicting. So I'm not suggesting anyone goes and buys Tierno Barry.
No, I'm looking more defensive if I'm looking at
another good return for James Tarkowski. But some of these returns might have come in games where you maybe not add him, like for example Bournemouth away, and now this is another one, 8-pointer here, pretty decent. I'm fairly sure Tarkowski will stay in the team once Jared Brantwaite's back fit, and obviously Michael Keane has got one more game of suspension to go. Well, Jake O'Brien did fine alongside him. It's interesting they have to move O'Brien to the left of Tarkowski to kind of accommodate Tarkowski cannot not play right-sided centre-back. Actually thought Patterson did okay at right-back as well. Defended fine when they need Pickford to have the big moment, which ironically, all the efforts Rodgers had, his best one was the one from the furthest away, the effort in the second half, which Pickford tips over. When he has to have big moments, he can have them. We have to give a shout out to James Garner before I was going to say, move on to Villa.
You talk about Elliot Anderson at 5 point, whatever he is. Garner's cheaper, and his points 4, 6, 4, 16, 5, 4, 4. And even before that, it's 3, 3, which is obviously a little bit clean sheet points there. But he's been as consistent, if not better.
Have you seen how many DEFCONs he got yesterday?
20 something, wasn't it?
29.
Yeah.
They put the stats
Monster.
up towards the end of the game, and you know me, I don't kind of follow BPS and DEFCONs while I'm watching the game.
Yeah.
They put it up, and I thought, oh, that's going to be massive on DEFCONs. 29. Give you a nice account to follow. This is really good. Account on socials. Tom Hadley, FPL.
Yeah.
That's FPL under Tom Hadley. So some really good stuff on socials in terms of DEFCONs and stuff. He's got data that runs back 10 years on DEFCONs. He says this is the highest.
Ever. 29 in a game.
In 10 years. Yeah, he says it's the highest for any player in any game in the last 10 years.
You're talking 16, 16, 19, 15, 12, 13. He's clearing it comfortably in most games. It's not like just getting over the line type stuff.
Yeah. Couple of things to acknowledge that's really important on this. So they've adjusted system a little bit, I think, recently, where rather than commonly they've had, say, Dewsbury Hall plays as a 10 behind a 9 and drops into zones that allows Ndiaye particularly to then go into more central zones. Obviously, those two players have been unavailable. Iliman Ndiaye is back next week. So too importantly is Idrissa Gana Gueye has been another miss. So I think in Gueye's absence, they've kind of pulled, rather than having a fellow 6-8 hybrid and a 10, it's been more like 2 8s either side. So he's sitting deeper. Sean Norton spoke to us about this in the summer. He said he's going to be the best as a 6. The other two, who Armstrong and Roll, both did absolutely fine yesterday, particularly in terms of their work effort and off the ball stuff. They're kind of playing a bit differently at the moment, and that might be creating some of these really high numbers that we've seen recently for him in terms of DEFCONs, James Garner. So what I'm kind of saying to you is Idrissa Gana Gueye is back next week. Idrissa Gana Gueye might eat some of it, but Idrissa Gana Gueye won't eat enough that's going to stop James Garner still being a good asset from a DEFCON perspective. That's what I'd say. So over this period where Gueye's been away, and what you got to remember is Gueye, of course, has only played basically the one game recently because obviously he had that red card at Manchester United. So it feels like Idrissa Gana Gueye's missed a really long period. The only game I think he played was Chelsea away, I want to say. And it's over that period that James Garner's kind of DEFCONs has really gone through the roof. I don't think it will like come down enough that he's not going to still regularly hit them. I just warn you that there might be a small consequence that's happening with the team at the moment that is helping. If people want James Garner as a DEFCON player at 5.2, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. It's just a little something to be cautious about. Villa, opportunity missed.
Really, yeah. Though none of us thought they're going to win the league, but still, just keep the pressure on. I think
they've done amazing, right? And we've done the kind of the underlying stuff to death and that. But for me, yesterday morning, I was thinking to myself, because of City at the moment, I think, am I in a position here where I kind of, do I need to get on board and think Villa have got a chance? And obviously Tottenham lens thinking about Arsenal and stuff. I'm not watching the game thinking, please score Villa, or do you know what I mean? I'm not feeling like they're capable anyway. Yesterday, interestingly, I think actually for Morgan Rogers owners, you're on as well, usage?
No, I haven't bought him yet.
Okay. I wouldn't this week. Newcastle away, but on radar.
I'm on the short list, I would say, of Morgan Rogers to get to at some point. But
frustrated yesterday, right? A lot of efforts, kind of not clean shooting quite often. Like I said, the best effort ended up being one from distance. But do you know what yesterday reminded me a little bit? I'm not comparing him as a player to him. It reminded me a little bit of Bale's last 4 or 5 months at Tottenham.
First thing.
What?
The first stint.
Yes, sorry for clarity. Yes.
Yeah.
The second one was behind closed doors, so I kind of forget. It happens quite a lot, Suj. But obviously, the individual quality of the player for Bale, I mean, your man was pretty much putting his own kind of goal of the month collections together in the last few months. But it was quite often everything was just worked towards him.
Yeah.
And I'm watching that yesterday when they're chasing the game, and you could feel, I'm not comparing Rodgers as a footballer to Bale, but you could feel the desperation to try and get him on it. And there's no hesitation in terms of his shooting from distance when he gets within sight and stuff. So I think with him, we've got to have a little cautious of that. We'll have some games where the XG's high and, okay, he might snatch at some chances. But we're also going to have some ones like we've had, I think, where the XG will be low and he'll return because he strikes so clean, actually, from distance, ironically. So I was very encouraged as a Morgan Rogers owner in terms of what I saw yesterday. Not huge expectation for Newcastle away. Fixtures afterwards, good. And I saw something yesterday that makes me feel like they're looking for him more and more, and he's taking on a real talisman nature to what he's doing. Ollie Watkins, quiet. John McGinn, injured. Don't know the extent yet. Problem. Evan Gessand, quiet. I'll be kind when I say that. Big miss for Villa, as it was at the start of the season. Boubacar Kamara. Mm-hmm. That's a huge miss for them. They will probably struggle at Newcastle if he's still unavailable. Bogard did okay. Tielemans, we know obviously in terms of the quality of the player, but Kamara knits it all together quite nicely and they struggle without him. That's a big miss. That said, it is worth saying, on a different day, they could have won the game. It also could have been behind earlier because I think Everton will look at the offside goal as controversial. I think because it's given as offside on the field, I think that's okay. It's also worth saying on Garner, he could have been sent off, by the way. But ultimately, the goal they concede, Villa, is shy, right? Torres takes his eye off the ball. It falls to McNeil. McNeil has a shot. And I'm sure as he had the shot, we all went, well, we should have hit that with a bit of power. That's a bit like shy. Martinez sees someone click a camera. Before you know it, Everton have scored. He takes it really well, Barry. The problem with Martinez is because he gets hyped up so much. Every time he does make a mistake, he does get crucified. I realise he's a lot better than the goalkeeper I've got at Tottenham. I totally realised that. But yeah, he's for his goalkeeper, he's got to do better with that.
Alrighty. Let's cover off some questions that we've had in on Twitter, James, before we wrap this episode. I mean, all the ribbing about whether or not this is going to be a championship pod next season and stuff. I don't think we both go down.
One of us might. I don't think it'll be both of
us. I'm not as confident about that as you are. That we're not both on the chopping block. A couple of questions here, though, interesting that I'm going to kind of group in. FPL Discomfort Kieran, he's talking about how we should avoid getting tempted by shiny strikers and rely on dependable defenders, which FPL Takeaway says Bowen somehow is still the third highest scoring striker in the game with only 6 goals this season. There are 10 defenders and 11 midfielders that have scored more points than him. How viable is switching to one up top?
It's viable. Of course it is. You just got to press some buttons. It's fairly straightforward. Two of those players not being outscored are obviously forwards, right? Haaland, great. And I'm sure in hindsight, most people are probably going to just wish I'd left Thiago there, right? How many midfielders are posting up data like Ekitike at the moment at his value and stuff? The thing is, if you've got Haaland, Thiago, if you hit the third one at the right time, they'll do well. Mm-hmm. So structure. Obviously, the more you head towards one up front, particularly for those on wildcard 24, right? When a wildcard 24, you want to carry yourself. You've got to be a little bit more cautious about some longer term thinking, how you're going to deal with the blanks and stuff like that. It's fine. You can do that way. If you go with a one up front, right? If you want a bench boost, the answer is when. How many transfers you've got to put into bench boosting later? So if you want to do it, like my advice would at least be, go with Haaland, go with Krupi at the moment, because at least he will see some minutes. And obviously, if something happens to Evan Nilsson, that could be a very positive asset. Me and David will cover off Brighton, Bournemouth on the weekend or on Friday. And then something like Calvert-Lewin, Brobby, something like that.
Yeah, that's the way I would do it as well. Not like completely cheap it out.
Don't cut yourself off like completely. The idea of, let's go Haaland, let's go Gui and another 4.3 or whatever. Like, you're going to end up dealing with it, I think, later on. Is it viable in terms of structure of 5-4-1, 4-5-1? Of course, but guess what? You've still got to have the right players. And Nathan Collins has been, I think, the highest scoring defender. It was before the weekend. Highest scoring defender since like game week 11. Mm-hmm. Right, you still got to have this player at the right time. Does anybody think, Nathan Collins is going to be the highest scoring defender for the rest of the season? No, if we did, it'd be in everybody's team, isn't it? So you still got to hit your players in those other positions at the right time. Let's chase Bruno Guimaraes. He's been unbelievable. No, after this week, the fixtures are shit. I'm thinking of selling and looking elsewhere for the next thing rather than the thing that's just been. And for me, I feel very much about Ekitike in that zone. I don't think fixture too important. Ultimately, he's number 9 for Liverpool. Minutes look pretty good moving forward. Data's great. I don't think he's probably been one of their shining lights of the season. It feels worse because he missed a couple of games through injury. He's back. He looks fine. Pick your poison.
Agreed. Do you prefer Enzo Fernandez or Ilman and Dyer as a transfer in, says Nixie?
Enzo Fernandez for me.
Yeah, consistency of it, I think. I agree. I can see the appeal of Ndiaye with those fixtures that we talked about for Everton, but I would be with you. I'd be cautious.
I would say with the Leeds game not being till the Monday, look, presumably, I don't know if like the Senegal squad are going to go back to Senegal with the trophy. Do you know what I mean? Most players have come straight back from AFCON. We don't know what obviously they're going to do at this stage. But with the game not till Monday, you would imagine should be no drama in terms of being back in the team for Everton. So I don't think you need to worry from that aspect. Also a little bit out of sight, out of mind. I think Ndiaye is another player where space is positive for him and not necessarily the fixtures matter too much. I would prefer to go Enzo Fernandez first, personally, and Ndiaye later. Ndiaye will be safer for minutes, actually, ironically, I think.
Rob Pick wants to know what happened to the AFCON final. I'll answer that, Rob, by saying James and David will cover that off on Friday on the Weekender. But it was just madness, wasn't it?
I've only seen clips. I wasn't watching it live, unfortunately. I was dealing with a 7-year-old child who didn't want to go to bed. But yeah, it sounds off the ball. I'm fairly certain David was watching it live, so I'm going to leave that mainly for him to discuss. But I think also take a break because I don't know if there's going to be any fallout of this since. You can't walk off the pitch, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's crazy.
So
it is. Yeah, all righty, cool. James, we'll wrap this episode of Planet FPL there. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you are listening. If it's on YouTube, hit the notification bell. Thumbs up goes a long way in spreading the love as well. And if you really want to get involved, like we mentioned, patreon.com/Planet FPL. Most importantly, stay safe, look after yourselves. James, my fingers are crossed that you get the outcome you want in the next 48 hours. And we'll discuss it on Wednesday on Tottenham. Stay safe.
Just send the podcast.
Ciao for now.
Thanks, everyone. Be nice to each other. Play it your way. Cue music, please, man child.